Hi, what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be recording our voiceover. Before we get going, a little bit about doing voiceovers. It will only record for as much time as you have content already in your video for. So for example, over here on the right hand side, I can see that I have 52 seconds 52 and a half seconds worth of actual content to show or display in my movie. Which means that if I were to do my voiceover and I talked for an entire minute, the only thing I would be able to access is the first 52.5 seconds of me talking. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that my content is going to be there a little bit longer than I expect to actually do my talking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of these clips and I'm just going to extend them out by a couple of seconds. I can do that too with these video loops as well, not just the still images, which remember, all you have to do is to click on each one, and as you can see, I'm just getting the little arrows pointing outward and extending them out so it's longer. So now I have 1.4 minutes. I don't necessarily have to do it with every single one. All right, so I'm going to put my playhead at the very beginning of the screen. I'm sorry, beginning of our movie project. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get ready to do my voiceover. Now, I want to be able to see my script as I do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try and reduce the amount of space that iMovie is taking on my screen, because I have my script here in the background. So as long as I can see the whole text, I'm good to go. So what I'll do is I'll get my voiceover ready to go, and then I will click on my script so that I can start reading it. Now, once I get my voiceover ready to go and I hit that record button, it's going to count down for me, so I can certainly prepare and get that clicked before it actually even starts recording me. So to start my voiceover recording, I am going to go to the window menu at the very top of the screen, and I'm going to select Record Voiceover. And what that does is you'll notice here in the preview area, I have a red record button. And to get going with this, I'm simply going to hit that little red recording button, and it's going to count down and then start recording everything I say. So I'm going to click that. Hatchet by Gary Paulson is about Brian Robson, a 13-year-old son of divorced parents. As he travels on a Cessna 406 bush plane to see his father in the oil fields of northern Canada, the pilot has a massive heart attack and dies. Brian tries to land the plane but ends up crash landing into a lake near a forest. He now must learn to survive with the only two things he has: his own wits and a hatchet his mother gave him shortly before his plane departed. He has to learn how to survive on what he can find, such as wild berries and catching fish and rabbits. He also needs to deal with wild animals like skunks, bear, and wolves. Ironically, it is a tornado that destroys everything that brings about the possible hope of survival. Find out what happens to Brian as he learns not only how to survive, but about himself as well. Take out Hatchet by Gary Paulson. All right, so now that I have my voiceover recorded, I can now adjust each of my pictures so that it is displaying during the time that I want it to display based on what I read in the script. So I can now, I can hit done. I'm done with that recording piece. And now I can go and I can
by Gary Paulson
play this.
is about Brian Robson, a 13-year-old son of divorced parents. As he travels on a Cessna 406 bush plane to see his...
I'm going to shorten that.
Cessna 406 bush plane to see his father in the oil fields of northern Canada, the pilot has a massive heart attack and dies.
Okay, so on this one, we're going to shorten that up. Maybe make this just a tad longer and see if this works out.
His father in the oil fields of northern Canada, the pilot has a massive heart attack and dies. Brian tries to land the plane, but ends up crash landing into a lake near a forest.
All right, so right about here. So I'll grab a hold of that.
Near a forest. He now must learn to survive with the only two things he has: his own wits and a hatchet his mother gave him shortly before his plane departed.
Okay, so obviously we're going to want the hatchet in there when we're talking about that.
He has his own wits and a hatchet. Survive with the only two things he has: his own wits and a hatchet his mother gave him shortly before his plane departed.
All right, so you get the picture. I'm going to adjust so that each of the pictures is displayed in the time that I'm kind of talking about them.